when my parents abandoned me at 13, my wealthy uncle took me in. 15 years later, they showed up at the will reading. Imagine sitting through the funeral of the man who saved your life, your heart shattered, only to then face the very people who broke you in the first place, your biological parents, 15 years after they abandoned you, and they're smirking about the millions they expect to inherit. That day I learned some family ties are meant to be severed, and some battles are won long after the war seems over. It was the day after Uncle Walter's funeral. My eyes were still swollen from crying for the man who had truly been my father, the one who gave me a future. I was 28, sitting in a fancy law firm's waiting room when that elegant mahogany door swung open. And my heart didn't just drop, it stopped. There they were, Frank, Elaine, my parents, 15 years of absolute silence. And now, they sashayed, draped in cheap, gaudy jewelry, exchanging smug glances like they'd just won the lottery. No grief, no apologies. Just pure, unadulterated greed. Believe me, I know a thing or two about family drama and betrayal. Stick with me, because my Uncle Walter, even in death, had a brilliant plan to expose their true colors and leave them utterly shattered. Growing up in Pittsburgh, my childhood was anything but a dream. We lived in a rundown apartment where peeling paint, broken elevators, and the constant smell of mold were just part of life. Sirens were our nightly lullaby. Our tiny one-bedroom apartment housed 4 of us. Tommy and I shared a pull-out couch in the living room. Most nights, one or both of my parents were gone, leaving me, the older sister, to care for my little brother. My father, Frank, worked sporadically in construction, but his true passion was sports betting. Payday was always the same: check cashed, quick stop at the bookies, and then he'd vanish for hours. Sometimes he'd come back jubilant, showering us with ice cream and grand promises of a better future. More often, he'd stumble home drunk, smelling of cheap whiskey, his mood as volatile as a summer storm. One minute, he'd be crying, telling us he loved us. The next, he'd be screaming, throwing plates if dinner was cold. "You're just like your uncle, always judging me," he'd snap when I dared to ask where the rent money had gone. I learned quickly to read his moods, to know when to speak, and more importantly, when to just disappear. My mother, Elaine, worked at a department store makeup counter. She was beautiful, but in a brittle way, always meticulously made up, wearing clothes she couldn't afford. She spent her paychecks on designer knockoffs and costume jewelry, convinced she deserved a life of luxury. In her mind, Tommy and I were anchors, dragging her down from the glamorous life she should have had. "I could have been a model," she'd sigh, looking at old photos. "I could have been somebody before I got stuck with you two." Tommy was 3 years younger than me, a gentle, quiet soul with asthma and a full story video added in below.